Next up at UFC Sao Paulo, we have the featured fight of the evening. We have Rodrigo Nascimento taking on Don'Tale Mayes. This is a rematch. The first fight was 3 years ago. Pretty straightforward win. Rodrigo had a couple of takedowns. And then the submission. Rodrigo Nascimento, 10-1 overall, 3-1-1 in his last 5, coming off the split decision win over Ilir Latifi. Don'Tale Mayes, 10-5 overall, 3-1-1 in his last 5, coming off that knockout win over Andre Arlovski.
Was he the one that broke or hurt John Jones? Was he the one training with them? Was it Don'Tale? Or was it... Oh,
I don't know.
I think it was Don'Tale.
Is that who separated his...
his pec?
Chest.
I think so.
Yeah. I don't know. Rodrigo Nascimento is a grappler. He's going to come forward. He's going to work you against the cage, look to get that grappling going. He's going to march forward, throw a ton of punches, lots of clinch work, and then he'll work some trips and some things like that. He's not going to shoot a blast double or anything, but he will grind up against the cage, drag you to the down, drag you to the ground, slow down the pace, and then, work a submission and good cop control. He's not the biggest heavyweight, but he knows how to be heavy. He knows how to wear you out. He can get sucked into striking matches, though. His takedowns are not very good, and if you circle well enough and you can push him off the cage, you can end up in a striking match with him. He's taking on Don'Tale Mayes. This guy's a pretty good boxer. He's got very real power in his hands. He's got some decent footwork, some solid combinations as well. He's going to march forward. He throws all of his punches with 100% effort, the leg kicks, the overhands. He's not a wrestler, but he does have 7 takedowns in the UFC, and he is coming off that knockout win over Andre Arlovski, where he was a step behind early and then found that power. That tells you 2 things. 1, he's got big power. He keeps the power. 2, he doesn't get frustrated. Like, he was behind in that fight. He could have given up. He could have been starstruck. I'm fighting former heavyweight champion, but he stuck with it, landed that big power. Don'Tale Mayes is basically the next evolution of a Derek Lewis, right? He's got that big fight-ending power, never out of a fight, but he's a little more technical. He's got the better footwork. His takedowns are pretty solid as well. But I still see Rodrigo winning this fight. I don't put too much stock in the rematches that happened, where the original happened 3 years ago. But I don't think much has changed. I think Rodrigo can still come forward, get the cage control, get the takedown, and then control from there. So Rodrigo's going to be the pick. The bet that I've been bragging about that I'm going to hit it when they drop it, if we get lucky enough for this, for the last 2 weeks, was over 1.5. It's juiced. It's minus 200. They were on to it from the jump. I was hoping we'd get a 1.5 round line, like, they're heavyweights. But, this fight's going to go a little bit longer than a lot of people think. But Rodrigo's going to be the pick for the second time out. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, this kind of breaks my heart because Don'Tale Mayes, Indiana's own. He's even got I-65 tattooed, the Indiana state flag tattooed on his side, on the other side. And because this does break my heart. This is a rematch. You mentioned you don't put a lot of stock in it. It wasn't only 3 years ago. It was only a few fights ago. Listen, the fact of the matter is heavyweights of any division, and you can disagree with me if you want, are probably the least improving. You don't see a lot of improvement in heavyweights. You'll see some here and there, but they're just they are what they are. So when it comes to a rematch 3 years later, I think the same thing happens. I think that Rodrigo is able to hang in the striking, get the takedown, and he's shown that he is better on the ground. I mean, he got that takedown in that submission. The second he got that takedown, that submission came very, very quickly. I think he's head and shoulders above Don'Tale in the grappling. I think he gets it to the ground. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on heavyweights. I don't believe a heavyweight fight should ever be on the main card of any card ever unless it's a championship fight. I can't stand heavyweight fights. I'm a known hater. It's a rematch. Rodrigo pretty easily won the first one. You should do it again.
I hear you. Why do you think the line has tightened so much? You open at minus 400, now minus 175. You think people are like, well, he's got fight-ending power, and that's it?
Couldn't tell you. I don't know.
I mean, that's got to be why. I mean, he did just knock out Andre Arlovski after losing, most of those striking exchanges.
Knocked out the 43-year-old.
Power. Listen, I'm on the Rodrigo side as well. But yeah, I was surprised to see the line tighten a bit. Because a card like this, where people are probably looking for some value similar to UFC 294, some of these like mid-level favorites tend to take off and become big favorites. That's not happening here, which is a bit surprising.
It could be the John Jones effect, I guess. But didn't Walt Harris get smoked or something? Was it Walt Harris?
He did. Yeah.
Everyone, I was like, he's been training with John Jones.
Yeah, I mean, good for John though. He got a bunch of.
I mean, technically,
these guys were.
Technically, if that was Dontel Mays in that video,
he
technically beat him. That would be a doctor stoppage and a victory for Dontel Mays, and he technically is the heavyweight champion of the world.
Chael Sonnen was this close to being the light heavyweight champion because John Jones's toe basically ripped off his foot, but he finished him right before the round ended.
He was almost the middleweight champion too.
By like 2 minutes.
That's
no,
crazy.
not even with 2 minutes. It was like 30 seconds or something insane.
That when I tapped, I would lose that round. If it had been explained to me that this whole fight, me tapping cost me the fight, I would never have tapped.
Dude, he is nobody tells a story like Chael Sonnen, dude. Because even he's going full heel with the Francis Ngannou stuff, which is such a funny angle. The rest of the world's praising.
Nobody ever believed in poor Francis, 6'6", 300 pounds. Nobody ever believed in the guy. He's never. The craziest part that he said was when he said you'll never, and you can look it up. You've never ever heard anybody in his camps, at his training camps or anything say, "Oh my God, Francis is in there outworking everybody. He's outworking he's the hardest worker in the room." Nobody's ever said that about, and this isn't me talking, this is Chael, by the way, but he said nobody's ever said that about Francis. So when he talks about the underdog and grinding and working, nobody's ever said the guy's just 6'6", 300 pounds. He's just athletically gifted. That's just who he is. So this whole underdog story is like nonsense. Again, not my words. That's Chael.
Yeah.
That's Chael. So
no, he's going full heel. Anyway, back to this. We're both on the same side here. $8,800 in DraftKings. I'm gonna look at how that first fight scored. 2 takedowns, a finish should be enough to get past the $8,800, but not if literally nothing else happened. 2 takedowns, 10 points. Finish depends on the round. All of a sudden, he scored 76 points, and that doesn't cover his $8,800 DraftKings salary. And if everything I just said makes no sense to you because you don't know what those numbers are, you don't know what DraftKings Fantasy is, if you go to WeWantPicks.com and you're a premium member, click on More in the menu and then Courses. And we have a full course that will walk you through exactly what that is. WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member at the top. Any words? No words? Let's keep it moving.
I'd like to kind of really quickly touch base on really the state of the economy in this nation and, kind of where we're headed, where we've been, where we are.
What is happening?
You said if I had anything else. I didn't know what.
Oh,
I didn't have
Jesus
anything
Christ. I thought that was turning into something.